everybody, and thank you for joining me for another week of the Rec Poker Podcast. I'm glad to be here, and it's all because of Website AMP and Running Aces Hotel, Racetrack, and Casino. So thank you, team, for your support. I'm here with a wizard panel of recreational players, just like I am every week. My name's Jim Reed. I'm Bluffsterini in the home game. And if you want to find out more about me, you can go to rec.poker/crew. And you can also find out all about these weirdos. Hey, gang, why don't you tell Rec Poker Nation where they can come and find out more about you?
Well, I am Chris Jones. You can find me on 5x5 on PokerStars and 5B5 on Twitter.
And I am John Somsky. I am Poker Geek MN everywhere.
I'm Keith Brandt, and I am Monkey System everywhere.
And I'm Rob Washam, and I'm Ratman50 everywhere.
See, these guys know they're the same thing everywhere. There's no underscores. They were very ahead of the curve when it came to social media and tags. Way to go, guys.
Some jerk took 5x5 on Twitter. That's why I have to be 5B5 on Twitter.
Yeah, you got to be an early adopter, Chris. That's why you got to jump out on those new platforms instantly. I'd also like to just take a second to thank Ben Rhodes, who recently became a premium member. So I'm excited to get to know Ben a little better and see what he's getting into in Rec Poker Premium land. And I also want to thank John Scarr, who's been with us for quite a while. And I hope that John knows how much we appreciate their support as well. So here we are. You know, it's Monday night. We're recording this. The podcast comes out on Tuesday morning. It's going to come out on Tuesday, the 28th of December. So if you're listening to this on Tuesday or Wednesday, it's not too late to join our community Q&A session on Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 7:30 Eastern, where any community members of Rec Poker, you don't have to be a premium member, can go to rec.poker on the homepage there, click on the join the community Q&A and come hang out with the panel for free and talk to us about what's working for you in poker and what's not and how we can do things better in 2022. One way I know we can do things better in 2022 is having people like our next guest on the podcast more often. Taylor, it's taken us way too many episodes to finally come around to this point, but we have done it. I'm proud to say it shouldn't always take this long, but Taylor Howard is here to share some thoughts on his career in poker and how players like us can get better at the game along the way. Taylor, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And that's not all on you either. I've been pretty busy since about May. So
yeah, I see that.
I think we started talking back in June about getting on here. So
yeah, that's right.
We got it in before the end of the year at least. So.
Good stuff. We did. And you've been busy on and off the felt, but I know you've got some recent excitement in Las Vegas to talk about as well. Why don't we start there? Why don't you just take us through what you've been getting up to recently on the poker tables, and then we can take some questions from our audience here.
Yeah, so it all goes back to about May when I won the MSPT out in Deadwood. So that the coolest trophy in the book back there. So
yes, if you're just listening along, you got to go over to YouTube and check out the video. Taylor has this like perfectly composed frame behind him, all these amazing images and trophies and stuff. That one looks good.
Where I keep them, it worked out perfectly.
It sure did.
But yeah, it started there. I won that. So then, and I already had a couple cashes on the year for the MSPT. I think that was already my third one of the year. So then that kind of got in my head that, hey, we could maybe go for like a player of the year, just something like that now. And I mean, you have a tournament you win, so your bankroll's boosted. You can go play more stuff as well. So from there, I've basically been on the road playing since May. I went to Vegas right after that. That was kind of coming out of everything was opening back up for COVID, from COVID. So that was kind of all that madness out. The Venetian was having massive things. Everywhere out there was having massive things. So did that a lot of June. Coming into the summer, just kind of followed the rest of the summer, kind of just followed the MSPT around some more. And then at that point, I mean, I was like in the top 6 or 7 for player of the year, but it wasn't at the forefront of my mind. I knew I was going to go to the WSOP and that was going to be a big focus. And then I got 8th in Grand Falls, and that got me up to 2nd or 3rd. So then from there, I was like, all right, now I think I have to kind of maybe play the rest of these events. Went to Vegas for the WSOP. You mentioned had some fun out there. It feels like I actually got my butt kicked out there because my last cash was October 21st, I think, or 24th, something like that. So just a month straight of losing, but ended up profiting a little bit out there from those first few cashes, those first few weeks. So that's always nice. And then got one of those cashes was actually at the Venetian, getting 11th in the MSPT. So then again, that was the player of the year stuff that put me into second within a couple hundred points of Cy Church. So again, that was all the player of the year stuff. Went up to Canterbury and played the whole series up there week or two ago, and didn't do anything that first weekend and just got a min cash the second weekend. And then Kina, who was actually in fourth up for player of the year, took it down. What a run she had. And now she leads by quite a bit. I think I have to get like sixth or better out at the Venetian here next week to get that, but what a run by her.
Yeah, no kidding. I know Keith Monkey System here had a question about did you start the MSPT Canterbury on table 3 in the front corner nearest the outside doors? If not you have a doppelganger.
I probably did, but honestly, it was all, I played so much those 9 days I was up there that it's all, I don't know which tournament I started where.
Yeah.
That was probably me. I played every tournament up there. So
yeah, they do a great job up there. And MSPT has definitely been your friend. Like you've been having some great results.
That's kind of where it all started for me. I was able to go to Meskwaki when I was 18. You could get into their poker room. They changed that law the summer I turned 18. They changed it in June. I turned 18 in July. So poker kind of started at Meskwaki. For casino poker started at Meskwaki for me. And then they started out having, I think it was the HPT rolled through there. And then very quickly after that, it was the MSPT. So I would scrounge together $260, do whatever I could to get $260 so I could get into those qualifiers to try to just get one seat into the main. That was how it all kind of started for me.
So let's talk a little bit about that, how it all started for you. So I think, a lot of recreational players, we played with family or friends when we were younger. Mm-hmm. For a lot of people, they saw the movie Rounders or the Moneymaker Effect came along. Take us back to the early days and what got you involved in poker, just at the very early level.
I think the first time I ever played was just at like a basketball tournament in 8th grade or something. And then from there, brought that back home to my home. That was like a traveling team, and brought that back home to my hometown. And it was probably I was 14 in 9th grade. That would have been about 03, 04. So it was kind of when it was the poker boom. Poker was on every TV channel all the time. And then we just started playing $5 games, $10 games. Every once in a while we do a high roller, get in for the $20 or whatever. And big birthday games for $25. And that's just what we did. I would have people over to my house. We would play in garages after our football games going through high school. I mean, instead of like having big parties and stuff or whatever, we would just have big poker games all the time. So that's kind of where it all started for me.
Nice. And then how did you like decide that you were good at it? And then how did that turn into playing the way that you did as seriously as you have and the success that you've had?
Well, that took quite a long time. I thought I was good. I thought I was good forever.
Yeah, right.
I was it started, like I said, I would go to Meskwaki when I was 18. I would go there and play 1-2, take probably not even one full buy-in with me and just try to spin it up or go play their, they had nightly tournaments for anywhere from $20 to $60. So did that for years, basically. Dabbled online here and there. I never was big into online before, like Black Friday. I mean, I had played on PokerStars and Full Tilt, but nothing crazy or no stats to show or anything like that. And from, like I said, it just I always had a job. The MSPT would always come around to Meskwaki. At that point, I'm probably past 21 now, so I could go to Prairie Meadows and the other casinos in Iowa to play cash games or tournaments or whatever. My first big breakthrough, I guess, would have been in 2014. I qualified in for the MSPT. I would always go up. I'd take work off like Thursday, Friday, go up there, play every satellite, and I bring like maybe $800 or something, $700, and just that's 3 satellites, and hopefully I get into the main. And I qualified for the main, and from there just a luck box run to I got 4th place for like 24,000. That would have been back in 2014. And at this point, I had never studied. I mean, I maybe had read some things online or something, but I never studied. I never did anything. And I got 4th for, I think it was like 24.4 thousand. And I mean, at that point, I thought I had arrived, and I thought I had made it in the poker world, and got humbled and found out very quickly I didn't. I had just a little. I've always just kind of had odd jobs, bartend, whatever. I never had like a strict career, I guess, where I was working my way up. So quit my little odd job that I had at the time. I don't even know what it was back then. And the tournament I cashed, I got 4th, and was in April, I believe, end of March. So the World Series was coming up. And at that point, I had been out there to play, I'd fly out and play one event, or I'd fly out and play like the Colossus or something like that. So flew out, quit my job, flew out, and like I said, figured out pretty quickly that was probably not the best thing to do. But from there, it did teach me too that, okay, you can be good at this game. Like I can put time in, I can put effort in. Everything I just did was probably, I quit my job with a $24,000 bankroll and went and played 1500s and stuff in Vegas. So It wasn't smart, but it taught me like, okay, well, I can win at this game. I think if I can put time in, you can get better. You can learn better bankroll management and just all that stuff. It kind of gave me an awakening of, okay, I think now I can put some work into this game and become at least decent at it. I made it that far with just not ever studying. So now let's put some study in and see what can happen from there.
Mm-hmm. And then let's talk about studying a little bit, because we've got so many different kinds of recreational playing listeners that there's different kinds of studying that work for different people. What worked for you? What didn't work for you? And then what helped you find those breakthrough moments?
I'm a big visual guy, so I like to see things. So a big thing for me, I like just watching people play hands. So watching a stream or of a high level player, something like that, where they're also talking about their hands. Or I'm not very good at just sitting and listening. I want to see visuals and things like that. So a big thing for me is watching, even if it's just as simple as watching some of the whatever's on TV at the time or whatever, watching those hands, but then going further, just trying to find a high level player that you can see a bunch of hands of. And from there, just try to figure out in your head, what is he doing here? What's he thinking here? That's a big way I like to study.
We do that all the time here. Chris Jones was running the session where we would sort of like look inside the mind of a pro and think about their mind frame when they're looking through different hands. Who were the pros that you kind of would look up to in the time that you were learning, and who are the people that you were like, oh, there's someone who I want to do stuff like what they're doing?
Yeah. So back then I actually did a bunch of Doug Polk stuff. Was always a fan of him. I did actually do Upswing as well. That was one of the subscription services I did. And another guy that I got big into starting out was Grips Poker. He had a bunch of free stuff on YouTube. So that was always, and he had a bunch of stuff with Ali during Ali's come up before he was the number one player in the world. And like he was playing on ACR and stuff back in the day. And him and Grips were always, I think, good buddies. And they always had a bunch of I don't know if you can still find him on YouTube. That'd be interesting to go back and look. But I remember him having a bunch of stuff like hand histories with Ali and stuff back in the day too.
Cool. So you like the visual experience of like going through hands street by street and talking about it like that. And that's like good for training your brain how to go through that decision-making process, right? So how do you study the other sort of like more fundamental parts of the game, like ranges or math or, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So another subscription service I used starting out back in the day was Raise Your Edge. That's a good, it still stands up today. It's a good, I think he updates it all the time as well. His ranges are great. And then I have some friends in the industry now who have just recently launched the last like year a range thing, Floptimal.
Oh yeah,
there's good people back behind that. So I've been using that quite a bit here. I think they launched back in June, somewhere around there, spring, summer. So I've been using that quite a bit lately. It's a nice way to just very simple to go back and forth and look at your pre-flop ranges with all stack sizes.
Yeah, a couple of the members on our wrecking crew use Floptimal in their training sessions at Rec Poker. It's really good in the way that you're talking about visualizing. And I think if people go to rec.poker/resources, they can find a link to get into some of that stuff.
Okay, perfect.
And maybe even get a discount or something like that. So go
I think they recently even launched a phone app too. So I haven't checked that out yet. I've just done it on the computer, but computer stuff's
for the
really
kids.
easy,
the kids these days, all these kids have these things these days. Oh, what? All right. So let's talk about that just a little bit. You know, a lot of our listeners are recreational players, which doesn't mean that they're not serious amateurs. Mm-hmm. It just means that they have other means of making a living, and this is what they do for fun. What are some kind of common mistakes that recreational players make or that amateur players make that you kind of felt like, this is how I'm gonna put the screws to this amateur, or B, this was a moment that I sort of transcended in my own poker journey?
Well, the big first thing is getting your pre-flop ranges in check. Like, if you don't have those correct, then you're going to just screw up so many other things past that because you're not doing the very first, most core thing of poker right, and of what you should be opening, what you shouldn't be. And then from there, I would just say, like thinking ahead. A lot of people will a lot of recs, and I used to do this too, of just, all right, I have this hand right now, I'm going to bet. But you don't think, all right, how will I respond if this happens? What am I going to do on the turn? What am I going to do on the river? What am I going to do if the flush draw hits? It's just, all right, I have this hand now, so I'm going to bet or I'm going to check or whatever. But it's not thinking ahead, where that's kind of the first, I would say, maybe next big step from coming from a rec is, all right, now I need to think through what is going to happen on each and every street. What happens if I do this? What happens if I do that, et cetera?
I see we've got Jim and Martha in the chat here. So Jim, Martha, any of our other members, if you have any questions for Taylor, just type them on in there. And members of the panel, of course, can jump in anytime. So I think that's funny. He said getting those ranges, like checking in those ranges or reining yourself in those ranges, because that is really so important. Mm-hmm. That people play way too many hands pre-flop, and that has that knock-on effect of then you're in these post-flop situations with wide ranges with a bunch of garbage in them, and it is.
I still find myself, I'll question a spot or something. I'll look. I'm like, well, I wasn't even supposed to open that hand, so why did I even play that hand?
Right.
It's the first thing that you can do in poker outside of buying in. So you have to, from there, know what hands you're going to open with and how you're going to respond to 3-bets, and et cetera. So the first most basic thing basically is getting your pre-flop ranges in the correct form.
Yep. Chris?
Yeah, Taylor, I kind of wanted to return to some of the things that you touched on really briefly, but kind of explore them a little. I mean, you spoke about winning that 24K and then sort of being humbled afterwards. You just talked about also going out to the WSOP this year and feeling like, even though you came out ahead, you felt like you had this long stretch of just losing consistently. Yeah. And I'm just wondering if you can talk about like how you deal with those. I mean, you've had a lot of great success too, but you also, obviously you're a poker player, so you've dealt with those sort of downswings as well. So like, how do you go about dealing with that? And how do you deal with those humbling moments that this game sort of puts in front of us all?
Yeah. Well, now, especially that I'm doing this for a living, you just have to trust the process. Basically, I know that I'm a good player, and that if I stick to studying and what I've been taught, that eventually, I mean, in the long run, that I'm going to find a win. It's hard. Sometimes it can get hard to just keep going with that process, but to me, it's being able to put in volume as well, and being able to put in volume where you're not scared of the money on either side. So I've been very open too. I'm backed, so that's a big kind of relief for me, and it gives me structure in those times of a downswing where maybe if I was on my own, I wasn't keeping track of everything or whatever. It gives me structure and a person that I have to send a report to, basically. So that really helps me as well, I think.
I'd love to explore that a little more with you, and I'm sure some of the backing stuff is confidential and is not available to the public. But can you speak a little bit about that experience as someone who's backed with your credentials and with the games that you like to play in? What are the logistics that go into that? And just speak to that a little.
So yeah, basically, I've been back now for 2 full years, basically. So
good investment by your backer, I think. That's working out pretty well.
Yeah. So, I mean, you need to put up some results, whether that be online, live. Online's honestly the best way and easiest way to find one, because you can send a graph to somebody that shows exact statistics, exact ROI and everything. So, live, you can put up results, and from there, somebody's just kind of guessing on if you're a winning player or not, because some people can Bing stuff live, So I would say online's the easiest way to get one. And then from there, it's just, like I said, to me, it's kind of just freeing, knowing that, okay, no matter what happens in this tournament right here, as long as I'm playing my best and continue to play my best, I can keep firing. I can fire tomorrow. I can fire next weekend. I get to go to Vegas next week and play the MSPT. As long as I keep studying and playing my best. And then, like I said, too, I mentioned structure for me. And I think a lot of poker players, it can get kind of overwhelming and just become a blur. So for me, structure is good to have, like I said, a sheet that I have to send a report to my boss, basically. And if he has questions, I have to find something for him and give him an answer. It's not just kind of all up in the air of, oh, I think I lost this much in Minnesota. I think I did this in Vegas. It's all right there, and something that I have to report back to my boss with. So that's, for me, I need that in poker. Otherwise, it would just become a jumbled mess, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of professional poker players end up that way because they don't want to be part of a structured system or to like work for someone.
Yeah.
But the fact is, poker players as a group kind of need a little accountability and structure for, to be at their best, I think.
And I think we want to become a pro because of the freedom. You look at financial freedom, time, which is you still get with that, but you're also doing, like, I get to play poker. So I'm doing something that I truly enjoy doing, but at the same time, I do need some structure in there as well. You can't just give me free reign to not have any structure. That would not be good for me. So,
and it sounds like you also feel like it in a way kind of like reduces the effective variance on you, because you just get to kind of continue firing and like making good decisions.
Yep. I feel like it lets me play more with a clear mind, whether that be I'm in a big downswing or winning a lot. Cause I've experienced that too when I was on my own of, oh, well, I'm up this amount of money. I'll just call here, or I'll raise here. Right. So where winners tilt too. So it allows me to play with just a really clear mind, I think.
So that was one of my other questions, was, can you talk a little, and I'm sure it's financially related, but can you talk about some of the greatest pleasures that you've gotten from the game and some of the greatest pain that the game has brought to you, whether it's financial or otherwise?
Obviously, it's brought me, I've gotten to travel the country now for the last couple of years and do something that I actually truly do enjoy, which not a lot of people in this world get to say that. So I try not to take that aspect of it for granted. I've made some great friends along the way that I consider really good, close friends. A kid I grew up with that we started playing home games together when we were in high school is also a professional poker player from my same hometown. And we get to travel together. And it's a nice thing about that is because we both earned it. Like, it's not, we've always talked about, like, we want to make it together. And it's not like out of pity, like, oh, I had a big score and I'm bringing him along, or he had a big score and he's bringing me along. Like, we both earned it our own separate ways. So that's really cool to me. And the freedom I get to give my family as well going on, I've got to bring my girlfriend and her kids to Las Vegas, to Florida, wherever we go. So that's given me a lot of joy. Biggest pain moments. It sounds so dumb, but like, I get so worked up online for some reason. And this is something I'm trying to address. Like, I mean, I'll get so worked up in like a $50 or $100 tournament online where I'll take a worse beat in a live 1K and just smile at the guy and say good game or whatever. So,
Right.
But I remember times in my basement, just right here, sitting right here, losing an awful all in late in a tournament, and just the pure pain that brought me for those moments. I don't know why, but online poker just brings me pain sometimes.
Well, I think a lot of our listeners will find that just as comforting as I do, because it can bring a lot of pain to us as well, I'm sure. So that's nice to hear. Well, we're coming up on the amount of time that we've asked you for here, so I want to honor your time. I've got one more question, and then I'll ask you to just tell folks where they can find you and how they can sign up. But
okay.
It's a big one, and you can take it anywhere you want. What does the poker world need to do better?
That's a good question. I would say make games more inviting. Because for us, for the better players, for pros to survive, we always need an influx of players that are coming in that aren't as good, that are just dumping money, whatever. So I would say make games more inviting, for one, to just get more people involved, create some sort of, find another way to have some sort of poker boom would be ideal. I don't know if we're going to find that, but just a way to make games more inviting for that. And then, to get more women involved in poker as well. I think a big thing is people feel, whether it's a man or a woman that has never played, they feel intimidated to sit down. So we need to maybe find a way to just make it fun for their first couple of times to sit down. Because I know it is a game where it can be kind of intimidating for anybody, but maybe figure out something where a rec could just sit down and have fun their first time. I don't know how we would do that. I don't have an idea, but I think that would be a big thing.
So one last question here from our member, Jim. Taylor, do you have any long-term goals in poker, or just trying to keep going in an upward trajectory?
So I wrote out some goals at the beginning of this year that just financially and MSPT wise that I achieved with winning one of them. Long term, I need to sit down, and I was going to do that for 2022 to kind of sit down and get my 2022 goals in what I want to do, and then long term from there. There is one thing that I'm kind of now chasing, I guess you could call it, would be the MSPT Hall of Fame. I'm 15 cashes away, basically. So I kind of was talking to my girlfriend and some friends. I hope that I could do that within 3 years. That'd be 5 cashes, MSPT cashes a year, an average of 5 cashes a year. So I would say, I guess that's probably my one long-term goal at the moment. And then, just to have continued success where I can keep doing this. It's, like I said, something I really enjoy. So continued success where I could keep doing this.
Well, I think it sounds like you're living the dream, and I'm sure a lot of our other members would agree. We'll let you go just after this. We'll play the Jonathan Little ad, which is our way of ending the interview. But where can people find you on Twitter or email, or where do you like people to reach out when they want to get in touch?
For poker related stuff, that's kind of my Twitter. So that would be the real Tayhow, just the real, and then TAYHOW. That's my Twitter. I usually post a lot of my updates on there. If people have questions, hand histories, whatever, if I can respond to them, I will. So, you can find me on Twitter there.
Yeah, give them a follow, folks. And I know, I first got my Twitter account so I could ask people like Taylor free strategy advice, because I'm a life nit. So
I did it back in the day too. I remember coming up, messaging Aaron Johnson and Kuvang. The same stuff that people message me now. So that, I'm always willing to help out if I can. So
that's so cool, man. That's so cool. Good for you. Well, thanks again, Taylor. We'll play the Jonathan Little ad here, and then I'll look forward to catching up with you another time soon. All the best.
Much,
Merry
guys.
Christmas.
I appreciate you having me on. Yeah. Have a good holiday. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have you ever wondered whether you should call a preflop raise or 3-bet instead? What do you do when you have a flush draw? Do you raise it, or do you just call? What do you do with ace king when you miss the flop? Are you tired of guessing about what the right play is with your particular hand? Well, my name is Jonathan Little, and I am a 2-time World Poker Tour champion and creator of PokerCoaching.com, where we offer over 1,000 interactive hand quizzes where you play a hand and then get real-time feedback from our world-class pros. Don't guess and don't stress. Just register for your free account at PokerCoaching.com/recpoker right now.
I'm so sad. That's the last time I get to do the don't guess and don't stress with Jonathan Little, because this is the last episode of 2021. When people hear this, it will be the week between Christmas and New Year's. So Feliz Navidad, everybody. And I hope you've had a chance to spend some quality time with some loved ones. Rec Poker members will notice that there's a little less going on over the 2 weeks of the holidays as we kind of spend some time with friends and family and loved ones, and think about what we can do in 2022 that makes 2021 look like a distant memory. A hope I'm sure I share with many of our listeners here today. So, gang, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, Martha, thank you. Merry Christmas to you too in the chat there. And yeah, Taylor I really enjoyed getting that perspective from him. So yeah, fellas, unmute. We've got a couple things coming up. Like I said at the top of the show, if you're listening to this on Tuesday the 28th or Wednesday the 29th, come join me and the gang for a free hangout, the community Q&A on Wednesday, December 29th at 6:30 p.m. Central. You can find the link just by going to rec.poker. Don't have to sign in or anything. Just go check that out. What are you guys excited for Christmas and for New Year's and for 2022? Keith, I know you've got a new study group coming out. It's on the first Thursday of every month, which means that, hold on, don't tell me that the first one in January will be on Thursday the 6th. So Thursday, January 6th, we're going to get to hang out with Keith, Monkey System, Brandt. And you've already had one of these, Keith. What do you do in this session, and how can we help people learn?
What I did in the first session and what I plan to also do in the next one is I'm going to have a table of advanced poker training, a site that I'm subscribed to, up. And that's a site where you play against bots that are programmed to play like human players. And you can set various difficulty levels and stuff. And the group of us who did that last time had quite a bit of fun. I mean, we enjoyed it. We did a democracy. We decided what to do every hand. And we discussed it if it was kind of a difficult, tricky hand, and we just went along until we pretty much timed out. It was a lot of fun.
It really was. I was in that session. It's one of the few times that you're actually able to play more than one player to a hand. So I like that aspect of it for sure. And I do think everyone should come and check this out if you're a premium member at rec.poker. If you're not, all it takes is $5 for your first month. Just use the code RECPOKER and you can sign up for a whole month worth of activities. Chris, I know you've got some exciting plans for 2022, and by the time this episode comes out, people will be able to go to a certain page and contribute. And
that's and speaking of what exciting things we've got coming, we really, I know a lot of people ask for feedback, but we really want your feedback. We're going to send out a survey. It'll be open throughout most of the month of January and a little bit now into early December as well. And we're really trying to get a pulse on what people who are involved in rec poker want, whether it's what kind of learning materials you're looking for, what you're looking for when you are coming to the podcast. We have a bunch of questions that we're trying to get a handle on and really help us frame and plan out what we're going to be doing in 2022. So it takes 5 to 10 minutes of your time. It's pretty short, but it will help us out a ton. So please go look for it. And I believe you can find it at rec.poker/survey.
I think that is correct. If you go to rec.poker/survey, you should be able to find a short survey there to give us a little feedback about where to take all the amazing content that we produce every month online here at rec.poker and into the live arena as well. Some of our live meetups and opportunities to get together and play. And I think there's even some prizes. The survey is confidential, but if you want to be entered into a prize pool, a drawing, then you can enter your email and you can win a free hour of coaching with someone from the Wrecking Crew, a free month of Rec Poker Premium, Chris, I feel like there's one more that I'm forgetting right now. We're probably going to add some other prizes.
Yeah, there's
now
a few other
anyway,
prizes we're trying to narrow in, but by the time we post it, they'll be posted, so you'll be able to see. But they're just for taking 10 minutes of your time and filling out your email address, you can be eligible to win some of this stuff.
And I've seen this survey. I think this is like a 3 minutes of your time survey, to be honest. So even
if you
the ROI is like three times what you thought it was.
To answer the multiple choice, there's a few open enders at the end. If you fill that in, it'll take you 5 to 10.
There you go. So go help us out there, folks. Without spending a dime, just give us a little feedback on how we can make things better for you in 2022. John and Rob, what's new and exciting with you guys? And yes, it's a duel.
So we're going to talk at the same time.
Yeah.
Good idea, Jim.
I'll let the superhero go first.
Nice. It's my favorite superhero too. I had a Superman ring when I was a kid. That's how into Superman I was. Yeah,
I was always a Daredevil fan myself. But anyway, in 2022, my goal in 2022 is to be able to finish the Modern Poker Theory book. Hopefully by sometime by the end of 2022, we will have found our way to the end there. No. Hey, on the survey, we were talking about giving away another entry into the video series that we're giving away.
That's it, Rob. Yep. Why don't you elaborate on that a little? Some other lucky ways that our guests can win.
We have we've got a copy of the video packs from Michael Acevedo for the Modern Poker Theory, and we are giving away that opportunity, or we're giving those away during the Recce Awards, and you have different ways of gaining an entry into that drawing. One of them is to be a member of the book study group on Rec Poker. Another one is to join one of the book study sessions. And another one is to post in the book study forum. Then the other way is to retweet and tag a friend with hashtag Rec Poker. There's a tweet out there that we presented this on. So you do that gives you 4. Now, one more. You complete the survey, gives you a total of 5 free entries into this drawing. What could be better, right?
Hard to beat. Hard to beat. So yeah, folks can go, and if you just search hashtag Rec Poker, you'll see a bunch of tweets to do with this contest. And if you just tag a friend and retweet it, you will get entered into the chance to win that video pack from Michael Acevedo. And trust me, folks, this is a book. You need all the help you can get. So join the book study, follow the videos, get the video pack from D&B Publishing. And that's what you need to take your game to the next level, because this is an incredibly dense book, but there is so much absolutely fantastic fundamental poker knowledge to be taken from there that it is the building blocks of a successful poker game. So do yourself a favor and check it out. John, we've got 3 home games a day starting in 2022. This is very exciting.
Yeah, actually, I was planning on starting one every hour on the hour from now on. And there'll be separate points for each one. So like they'll have a new winner, and then exactly. No. Pretty much the plan is to do things more or less the same next year as we're doing it this year. There'll be a few tweaks here and there, but nothing major that will be changing there.
But I'm looking forward to it nonetheless. You're putting the new schedule together for the mixed games events that are going to be happening throughout the year.
Yep.
And people can just email John at rec.poker if they've got some suggestions on.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm always open to suggestions. Again, we want to make it fun for as many people as possible. But when we come to the results here, one of the things I've always said is that in our core team, I've always thought that the top 2 players, it was a toss-up between Chris Jones and Taylor Moss. And, which one of those is going to be the real breakout player? In the meantime, the Steve Fredlin guy was just kind of limping along, being quiet all year. And then he won this last week. I announced he won the Player of the Year points race for the No Limit Hold'em Championship Series. And of course, since he had won a tournament, he was eligible to play in the No Limit Champion Series Tournament of Champions. So he won his very first silver pin by winning the Player of the Year points race. Then a week later, he's playing in the No Limit Champion Series Tournament of Champions on December 15th, and he wins that as well. So back-to-back, his first and second pin both won within the same month.
Back to back.
Very impressive.
I think we only have 2 or 3 dual pin. Colin Anderson, I know, has won 2 silvers. And then I think there's one other person.
There's one or maybe even 2 silver pin duelists, but
anyway,
Colin,
to sweep the entire No Limit Hold'em Championship Series, the fact that Steve did that just is shocking.
And it would be shocking if anyone did it, but for Steve particularly.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it's an amazing feat.
And in all seriousness, what we're talking about, just to be clear for our audience. So we play a monthly tournament that goes towards a Player of the Year series that goes on all year. And Steve won the points race for Player of the Year for consistency throughout the year in these tournaments. But then he also won the championship game for anyone who's won any tournaments throughout the year. The players that are the best in those tournaments go on to make this championship final. And Steve won that as well. So it is extremely impressive. And then Taylor Moss won the mixed game Player of the Year this year as well. So
which
it's
is also no small feat with the crowd that plays those games.
Yeah. And with Chad McVean and Mike Patrick and Kathy Chang and a couple other aces in the mixed game category. So hats off to, and of course they're not wasting their time here on the podcast with us. Those guys are out there grinding PO solver and going deep into ranges, and he's getting the solvers out overnight running sims. But way to go to Steve and to Taylor, of course. Jim Gibson says, doesn't Keck Geek 65 has 2 silvers? Sounds about right. Yeah. Sounds typical for the Kiki family.
Yeah, he still has to get his 20th win. He said 19 wins this year.
He's been on 19 since like late November, right?
Right. So he still has one more to do. And we'll see if he manages to get it. Another impressive thing from Steve again this year. So he ended up winning 2 tournaments, 2 regular season tournaments in the No Limit Hold'em Champions, plus the Tournament of Champions, and he won 8 other tournaments this year for a total of 11. So breaking that 10 mark is quite impressive. We still have Jacob, who's going for his 20th. Across all series, and we'll see if that can be. But I want you to know, I'm talking to you, Chris, now. If you still want me to mention you in the top tier of the core team players, I need to see some evidence. I mean, you've been winning all of these easy ACR tournaments.
For thousands of dollars.
Your pockets for thousands. But come on, it's rec poker tournaments that really.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I gotta. That is actually one thing, because like I barely played I just always found that my Wednesday nights were really busy, but I'm gonna try to play more, especially in the Play of the Year ones, because once you miss a few Play of those Year ones, then you're kind of like, wow, I can't win it. So, but this year I'm going to try.
Jim Gibson says in the chat, Chris is a master in game selection. It's true. He's been selecting some good games over on ACR recently. So nicely done. Nicely done there.
All right. Then we have our daily series Tournament of Champions. That was won by East Coast Bitter Ben.
Yes, Ben. So welcome to the Silver Pin Club. Yeah, exactly. That's fantastic. Good for you, Ben. It was one of my Canadian friends from the East Coast. I miss the East Coast so much.
Then for our daily series nightly events, Rob Diesel, or our Diesel 11, Rob Diesel got his first victory for the year.
Nice, Rob.
Our first, in the nightly series. Keck Geek, that's Mark Kiki, that's Keck Geek Senior.
Yeah.
Got his 8th for the year, and he has 10 wins total this year.
And
so
I see you've changed how you're doing these slides here tonight, John. They've got even more information available to our audience members.
Yes, it's a little bit. I'm trying to remember how I made them up so I can remember what all of these numbers mean.
But seriously, a shout out for Mark Kiki, who's obviously doing great work at home there, because if it wasn't for his son coming in and stealing the thunder, this would be an extremely impressive accomplishment in a vacuum. To have this many wins.
It's still an impressive accomplishment. Yeah, I'm not going to take anything away from him. Just because someone else does better does not diminish.
That's true. You know. It just diminishes the number of times you can bring it up around the dinner table.
Yeah, exactly. Then we have Digging 8 Graves. Got his or her 4th nightly victory for the year.
Right on.
Flying Bricks. Sarah Hansen.
Yeah,
got
Sarah.
her 7th nightly victory for the year. Gloves 1010. Colin Anderson. Got his 3rd nightly victory for the year and 12th victory overall.
Yeah, speaking of impressive performances, Colin knows how to bring it. And if you're a Colin Anderson fan, you should definitely come to the Reckies on January 26th at 6:30 Central, because he and Danny Schneider are the hosts. And boy, do they know how to have a good time.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we have quite a few options for, like what's the most impressive feat in our home games this year. So I'm really excited to see what they come up with and what we end up with as a winner there. Me
too. And with the state of the world for the entire year, I think a lot of our awards are going to be home game based. So all the more reason to get excited about those. I think you missed Patrick Berry, Jasper Jr. on December 17th.
I did. He got his 3rd nightly victory.
Pat Berry, knocking it out of the park.
We're giving him the Taylor Moss treatment.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Okay, then we have Basic Tax. John.
Yes, we got him. We found a new one. We found a new name to stomp John.
Let's go.
Yeah, but this is his actual name, not the screen name, Basic Tax. That's easy.
That is easy.
I'm guessing it. I wonder if this is spelled wrong, if it's supposed to be Philac or if it's
Pilac?
Pilac.
I'm going with Pilac.
Pilac?
Yeah.
Pilac? Maybe. Anyway,
all right, Basic Tax. Congratulations on your first win.
First daily mixed victory.
Sweet.
Jasper Jr. then again.
Wow.
Patrick Berry got his 7th international victory for the year.
2 in a week.
Stewie, 13, Stuart Carriage, got his 3rd international victory for the year.
Killer.
Chatty Cat 222, Kathy Karen.
Right on.
Won the LPP event.
Hey.
So be sure to email jim@rec.poker and you will get your free month at Learn Pro Poker.
That's so funny. I think we were just shouting Kathy out on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. I'm glad we got a little run good in there. Way to go, Kathy. Email me, jim@rec.poker. Let's get you that free month at Learn Pro Poker.
And then last but not least, we have Oslo Burger. Tron Vidar Stensby won the Heads Up event.
That's so
this
good.
Guarantees him an entry into Marek Madness.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a good, tough field too. That was a pretty stacked field. I got through my first round, but I was shown the door in 7th place or something like that after that. Who was the runner up for that one? John, do you have that close to hand?
I knew it at one point in time, but I do not have that.
That's okay. We ask so much of you in these. Well, congratulations, Tron Vidar. I know Tron's been he's in a different time zone, so it's not always as easy for him to join us for the discussions. But I know he's an active forum poster. He's always lending his insight to the sessions that he can make. I've seen him in a couple of our Saturday afternoon sessions in our time. So good way to go. I'm not surprised one bit. Applying those principles to the Heads Up victory. Way to go. That's nice.
It was Stewie 13.
Oh, man. I said he was a killer. That guy knows what he's doing. Way to go, Stu. Congrats on a close race there. Second in. You'll have some other chances in 2022 to get all the way to the top. All right, gang. What else is on people's lists before we wrap this up and send these folks into 2022? Keith, where can people go to find out, what's your Wrecking Crew page if people want to find out more information about you and your events here and how to get in touch with you? What's the best way for them to do that?
You can just look up Keith Grant or Monkey System.
That's
spelling monkey with Monkie.
There you go. So I hope people do.
Yeah, or you can go through the Wrecking Crew link.
Yep. Yeah, and I do say everyone go to rec.poker/crew because you can get you can see everybody's picture, put some faces to the names from the podcast. Everyone's got their own Wrecking Crew page, so you can find out about their story in poker and what they like to work on and how you can learn along with them. So I do encourage everyone to go and check that out. And I encourage everyone to go and have a freaking wonderful 2022, everybody. So thanks, Jim and Martha. Thanks, Chris and John and Rob and Keith, Taylor, Howard, and everyone else who works their butt off to get better at poker each and every day. Merry Christmas, everyone.